I have been given what I've always wanted. Revan on the main stage, Chuso on the main stage. I'll remind you, we only had one Spanish player last regional, so this is a very, very exciting time for me.
Don't do Lu Marpin like that. He's in there as well.
He's so good, I don't even have to mention him. He's a GSC winner, Mix. Come on.
Yeah, that's something our dearest co-caster in Iberia still needs to learn. GSC winners are not dark horses.
Oh boy, there you go. You can't keep Matt off the stage even when he's not on the stage.
But yeah, we go into the game, and I'm very curious if we're going to keep on getting those prismatics as they have shown up in game 1 and 2, or if that's just a Wither special. But we're currently on the board with Dasik, and we're very excited about him as well. Still looking for a team, so shout out goes out to him, is looking to respond to anything, but doing really well throughout set 7. Lovely player, and definitely in it to win it. As he has stated before, he does want to win Worlds. This is just a step on his way there.
Yeah, 13 points on the way in. Said, absolutely has his eyes on the prize. Definitely a player to be watching going forwards.
Mortdog is pushing buttons because this is the third game in a row that the Mirage is Executioner's Edge. Yone is, some bribes came through, I think, from Yone. It's why he's trying to shine in this current meta. I don't even think he needs to shine with Executioner's Edge. He's just so good already. But I just were talking about Dasik right now, first and second on the EU West ladder. Coming to this tournament, sending a message to everyone else saying, right now, I'm the favorite. I've won Super Brawl, I've won a big tournament finally in his career, and just dominated the ladder the entirety of this set.
Yeah, that Super Brawl was absolutely blinding. Coming first day 2 and day 3 as well really set the tone. But we'll see. Again, we said the quality of the player here is absolutely absurd. So we'll see. So Dasik got their early item setup. They've got the Dragon Master Rage Ring, but nothing too committal as of yet.
Okay, Mortdog is definitely watching.
There we go. It's another prismatic as first augment, and especially as first augment, these are such statement augments. It cannot be overstated. They direct everything and anything that goes on in this lobby. Tempo is going to speed up, going to spiral, going to yank up, and I'm just so here for it, Peter.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many raw stats here. Of course, we know the relics are extremely good as well, especially if you're looking for, just have an incredibly strong individual. Future Sight, of course, we're talking about the Zephyr on the desk. Get that straight in with a Radiant Zephyr that will help pump up the rest of the team as well.
I think it has to be Knife's Edge, though. The components are okay for it. You have a chance to build a Rage Blade. You have a Yone angle, but overall, Knife's Edge leans you into either Yone, Olaf, or Shioyu Siphon. And we talked about it at the very start of Game 1. Nowadays, in the current meta, 2-1 augment choice is so important at giving you direction, at trying to tell players, hey, you have to play for exactly this.
Okay, I cannot shut up about this. Travis going into Build Different Prismatic. Build Different being buffed with 1221 is now a lot more attractive, and especially as first augment, going to be so good to build into.
Yeah, you can't get 2 copies of it anymore, but they did buff up the individual versions. Maybe be looking for some double up font as well, but we'll see. Travis, of course, the top scoring player when it comes to just raw golden spatula points, so we know they've got a lot to show.
One key thing for Build Different is that it's 100% going to be Graves, Nihilate Carry. They outperform any other possible comp option that you can build around this augment, especially when it's a prismatic augment. It's going to be that huge power spike. And that also means that anyone that's trying to go for the Seraphine comp will be slightly more contested than usual in a normal lobby without any Build Different players. So something to keep in mind for players that might have a Zeke Slam, might have a chance to play into that Seraphine, Zeri, Graves board. You might not hit that Graves 2 as early. You might not stabilize as early as you want to in Stage 4.
Yeah, 2 players here deciding to go with High Roller, though. Brix and Chuso both locking in that High Roller, trying to manifest what hopefully is going to happen during this round here.
Yeah, I would love to see what they end up getting with that. Of course, we've seen some players hold off on it. Some players, of course, cash it in straight away and try and hope that they are going to be able to emulate a Think Fast augment by just landing a whole bunch of Astrals.
Ezreal is definitely a viable option to use that high roller on. True. Should be scouting to look if there are any players that are committing to their augments into a Darkflight tree, because Rengar is an absolute nightmare for Ezreal. Even if it's an Ezreal 3-star, going to be taken down very easily. We're seeing Travis now with the Rengar picked up, could lean into that Darkflight despite only really having a tier no best in slot components for Rengar just yet, with just that Sunfire Cape already built in. But hopefully Observer can take us into those boards that have the high rollers to see what players have committed to with those loaded dice.
Yeah, we will be on the lookout for that. For now, Travis has found a Rengar, and here is Wega. And I do want to talk about Wega for a second, because out of the German players, I know we have the big names. We have Salvi, we have Solo Gesang, right? They're in here, but I do really like Wega, and I'm looking forward to see what he is going to bring to the table this time around. There's been some talk within the German scene. Somebody told me he is going to turn Wega into a Lilia reroller. I don't think this round is going to be in it, but I am looking for Wega to bring us that Eve.
One of the things we wanted to bring forward from the first two games is we are seeing, of course, a lot of Shimmer Scale being brought out early, as we would expect. In this case, it's going to be the Draven's Axe coming in, and there's a lot of stacks built up already, even if there isn't a lot of gold in the bank right now to back up the actual AD gaining effect.
Yeah, Shimmer Skill Crest, one of the best statted silver augments in the game, because you're able to hit that 3 Shimmer Skill without relying on hitting Volibear. But in the case of Wega, he hits the Volibear and he hits the Shimmer Skill Soul, and the Econ will be rolling in. Volibear, one of the strongest early and mid-game carries because of just the sheer strength of the unit itself, but also the Econ you get along the way. If you can play for Econ and win streak, I mean, you're put into a position where a fast 9 is much more viable.
Because the most important thing, as we all know, is the econ we made along the way. Wega and Raiko both on 100 HP for now. Travis following them very, very closely as he builds out his build different board. But I'm so excited to see if they can keep up those win streaks, if they can keep up those 100 HP. You were just saying Panda Wega is in a good position to do so. I'm curious as to Raiko's board. He is currently on Ludens and has those Astrals built out with a little bit of an Asriel moment, Peter.
Yeah, I mean, it's something like what we've got here. We're going to be able to proc the Ludens again and again and again. It's a very decent board. We'll be up against Revan, who is currently on the lower side of the table, so no threat to that win streak here. Vega is still in the mix as to whether or not they might drop that win streak before we get all the way to Krugs.
Revan going into the quite unusual, pretty much full open fort at this point in Stage 2. Has 2 Olaf on the board. Key note for viewers at home, the Olaf stacks will not combine together once you get the 2-star. Just the one with the most stacks will be the amount of stacks you get on the Olaf 2. But it looks like it's pretty clear cut. Olaf game for Revan, which means that any other player that's scouting has to know, hey, it's not going to be a good idea to try and contest this. Usually when 2 players go Olaf, one player gets griefed, ends up getting knocked out in 8th, and the other player is able to steal all those Olafs once they go back into the pool.
I mean, Raiko would certainly know that better than anybody, having already happened to them in the tournament. But we've got one more round for our 2 win streakers to potentially go up against each other. It may not happen. They may be able to leave this unscathed, but if they do, it's going to be a lot of money. Vega's going to spend out everything they have to try and make sure this fight goes their way.
Yeah, it is 1 level above Raiko, and maybe that will be just enough to continue this win streak here. Raiko obviously wasn't looking too closely or is very confident with the board he has built. The Asriel in the background is doing some work, but on the other side, we are seeing that Kai'Sa with the statics and the Draven's Axe, and she's just going to dish out so much damage and secure Wega that continuous win streak going into Crux.
That is a crazy decision to make from Wega, but these are the decisions that Shimmer Skill enable you to go into. This is not something that any player or very few players would do. You have to be extremely confident, because if you go level 6 at this point and you lose that fight, your econ is in shambles for the entirety of this game. But Shimmer Skill allows you to really pull through. Despite losing, that's how much gold you're able to get off of this Volibear.
Yeah, and I'm starting to worry just a little bit, because Revan and Lumarpin are both pretty low in HP. It seems like they were both trying to open fort, and similar to how 2 people can't keep up a 100 HP win streak, it's also very difficult for 2 people to keep up a fully open fort streak. But we can see Revan is on 5 losses, so at least has accumulated a little bit of econ here with those Olafs on board, but needs to kind of find direction as soon as possible.
A small note here as we check out the units being played. All 4 of the top players playing Jax right now, so apparently that nerf to the max mana was not enough to shift him out of being absolutely freaking everywhere.
It's just a combination of traits. It's one of those, 3 trait units that if those traits are good, you are in big trouble because of how flexible and versatile they are. Jade, Shimmer Skill, Bruiser, 3 very, very good traits for the early game, especially when you're able to get that 3 Shimmer Skill and start getting that econ rolling.
Yeah, we just saw a little bit of a rolling moment on Revan's side thanks to that golden ticket. Was able to find the Olaf 3. I'm not sure if he ended up picking up that Graves forecast that just showed up at 3-1. Very strong unit, even especially this early, but wasn't necessarily what his comp was looking for at the moment. We hopped on over to Brix for now. Brix currently, once again, saying this is leading the entire tournament with 2 wins in a row. So let's see what he's up to. We have Executioners as Mirage, and he's on that little Mirage Cavalier angle.
Yeah, no, you mentioned before amazingly we've somehow managed to keep the 2 lost streakers going at the bottom of the table. Lumarpin, one of those there, making absolutely sure of that. So somehow they've avoided each other. But now we take a big dip down from our initial Prismatic down right to silver.
What a spot Brix is in. RFC already committed to this Yone. The high rollers came in so clutch to give him a massive power spike at this point in the game. Finds the Leona 2 as well, so the front line's looking a tiny bit better and has a Sejuani and Braum pair. Once he finds these 2 units, this will be another win-streaking player. We see 3 already. Not Dasik rather, but Dasik is just Tiny Titans up to 112. But Wega and Chuso both looking incredibly strong in this game.
Yeah, and you said it as well, Dasik going with that Tiny Titan, something generally in tournaments we see players opt for, as it gives you just a little bit of extra time, a little bit of extra HP cushion to fall back onto. However, will also make you go last into that carousel, so Dasik will need to play around that. And Wega is still on 100 HP, which is very impressive.
Incredible stuff. Yuso is just getting close to catching them up. If you check out what Travis is up to here, that built different board we were checking out from before should be pretty darn strong. Has kept them towards the top of the table, but I think we were hoping to maybe see them leverage that into a proper win streak, which hasn't really happened.
Very unusual leveling playstyle here from some of these players in this game 3. Lumarpin already at level 7, trying to hit those natural odds at finding. It looks like Seraphine is the combo he's going to be going for. Has the Evoker Emblem already, has his Zeke's already built. So any natural Seraphines and Graves is able to get online this early on will be massive. But he has no gold. He's on a 7 loss streak, and his board right now, at the very least, is not looking great. That being said, the Spanish Caster Blessing comes through, and the Graves is in this first shop.
Spanish Caster Blessing also coming through for Chuso, who has been able to hit a lot of the Astral units that he was looking for. We saw the Skarner 3 being hit earlier on. We just saw the Varus come through. He is on a little bit of a fire angle, win streaking for now. So one of the 3 is safe at least, Panda.
All 3 will be safe. Don't worry.
Okay.
They'll make it. They'll make it.
All right.
In different paths, but all will end up in the right place at the end of this game.
All right, let's see what Raiko's got for us here up against Lumarpin. It does seem like Lumarpin has maybe decided this is the time to start turning things around. As you know, it makes not much money in the bank, even after all of this loss streaking. So this board is going to have to be the legacy of all the losses, and it's good enough. Raiko is going to get torn to pieces.
Yeah, really, really important here. Lumarpin was able to find the Zeeks, was able to find a little bit of additional healing throughout the augments, has the Draven Axe on the Graves as well, so is on the best way to get the Bulldozer running.
As a 4 Cannoneer as well, recently buffed in this last patch, so that extra bit of damage is going to come in clutch for most of these fights here. The Graves on the carousel. Early pick from Lumarpin could pick it up, but it is a rod, which is definitely nowhere close to ideal. There's not really any great items you can build on Graves with a rod, other than maybe a Rage Blade, which is definitely far from optimal.
All right, so let's check in on our overall standings. We certainly got the 3 players, Juso, Dasik, and Travis, up in the 90s, with Vega just slightly behind, but a big drop off to Brix in 5th. And then, of course, with Raiko just next to them. But Revan and Lumarpin, they are fighting an uphill battle from this point onwards. They've got such a small window of opportunity to get back into the game.
Yeah, we hopped on over to Chuso's board, who we were talking about just a little bit ago, has that Astral angle. Pretty great frontline, would like to upgrade that Silas for sure, but is going to work out for now, and definitely needs something here, as there are basically no items on the Lux nor the Varus, which are usually the carries you try to look at, but something else is going on. There's a Deathblade on that Nidalee, Panna. You want to talk to us a little bit about Nidalee? Maybe a leak of what's going to happen this tournament?
Well, the leak is that there will be, as I promised, I'm a man of my word, a Nidalee cosplay coming through from myself. Not today, because this is a complex cosplay. It's going to be a lot of moving parts have to be put together to make this work, but on Sunday possibly. In game though.
What do you mean possibly? That's
I mean,
the last
the
day.
world might end, Mix. I'm leaving myself open to the possibility
Okay.
that, an earthquake might hit the studio. Things
come
might
on,
happen.
come
Well,
on.
you're going to go to some quite extreme measures not to wear this cosplay.
Sometimes, I don't want to be too embarrassed. That's not how it is, counterfeit. But the Deathblade on the Nidalee, I think Astral's a comp that has a great AP carrier, has a great AD carrier, Nidalee, and has that frontline tank as well. We see Rabadon's slammed onto the Lux. Could have waited for the Archangels, maybe, if you're thinking about transitioning into a Dragon's board later. But the Rabadons, if you're trying to, again, protect this win streak, 8 win streak now for Chuso, try to protect this gold lead, you want to slam items and want to stay with these power spikes as much as you can.
A small note on the situation from before with our bottom players. Marpin did lose in that previous round, so the chance of them building up a win streak to take over the whole lobby seems very loose indeed.
Yeah, 26 HP at round 3-6 is really not a lot, and he needs to find an angle, he needs to find an out. Somebody else that has been finding things, we see him here on the other side of the board, is Travis with that build different 3 coming through. Has Celestial, very nice to add on top of that build different. Love that.
We were talking about players that might be going to the Seraphine angle that would have a problem being contested by Travis with a build different. That's the case for Marpin, so he has to try and find his Graves too early on before Travis goes 7, before Travis rolls maybe at 4-1. Otherwise, it might be harder as you get contested to hit your board, especially for Marpin, who's in a position at 26 HP that, a few more losses in stage 4, and that's game over for you.
Well, I want to kind of, just before we move completely on from Jiso, who is, of course, at the top table, just going to bring in the larger point. Last time we saw Astral doing incredibly well. In this game again, Astral is oppressively strong. Is this something we're going to be seeing much more of going forwards?
I think it is something that we're going to be seeing when the cards are dealt right? You can't just go in and be like, okay, today I'm hot forcing Astral. That's not how it works. That might work with some other comps, but for Astral, you really need those augments to come through and make sure that it works.
And in this case, it's the high roller. Similar to Think Fast, they fulfill a very similar role in terms of the one cost odds you have when you hit those loaded dice on the Nidalees, on the Skarners, and that's the key about it. The changes recently made it so it's harder to 2-star. In this case, obviously 3-star your units, but once you're able to get the loaded dice online, you have Nidalee 3 early, have the Skarner 3 early on, and that snowballs your econ lead so much in the early game.
Now, the question I want to kind of put to you guys here as well as we go back to the Marpin again at the bottom of the table is we're caught in an awkward position here. We need a stronger board, but we also want gold in the pocket so that Draven's Axe actually does something.
Yeah, that's always a little bit of a difficult angle to be on. I, however, think that was absolutely the right play to roll here. We talked about it. He is getting competed by Travis, who's on that build different, who's also looking for the Graves, and he didn't find the Graves. He's still on Graves 1, not a single copy there. 10 gold, not a lot to work with. Could sell off the Zeri to at least get a little bit of econ back in the tank, but for now is going to keep her and hopefully find something else. Lagoon stacks also not too great. We are in 4-1. You would have liked that Lagoon to be a lot more stacked up by now.
Found upgrades, but not the ones he needed. Zarya is, again, the tertiary carrier, or the 4th carry in this comp. Not quite as powerful as the Graves 2, as a Seraphine 2 at this point in the game. But it will be Thrill of the Hunt, can work perfectly well with the Graves to get those resets off of the kills. That being said, in a desperation roll here for Marpin, rolling on 7. The Idas 2 is big in terms of stalling out more for that damage to come through, but as Peter mentioned, only essentially one item on this Graves because that Draven's Axe with 0 gold going to be actually doing absolutely nothing. And in this case, Graves 1 without the chance for that upgrade is going to be a bad spot to be in here.
Well, at least they do have almost a completed cycle on the Draven's Axe. So there will be a little bit of money and the component coming in. Unfortunately, there's nothing to combine that component with, so it shouldn't even be a big upgrade even when it happens.
Yeah, the big issue here is as well, you can't have much more time, right? He is on 19 HP and maybe like 3 rounds, 4 if he wins one, but it's going to be very close.
The Spanish battle here between Chuso and Lumarpin. Dasik off on the side there we saw hit a Shio 2 at this point in 4-2. So if he's playing that Jade Whispers vertical, that's going to be an easy stabilization point and even might buy him the time to go for level 9 and have that Shio be a secondary dragon alongside the Terra and the Aoshin, maybe later in stage 5.
Jiso's doing an absolutely amazing job. You can see, of course, once you get into the Astral, everybody else knows they're not going to be able to run Astral in the same way that you are.
Thrill of the Hunt's big there, but not quite big enough. Graves taken down, Lumarpin taken down to only 8 HP. At this point, any middling loss here is going to be GG for him in this game in 3.
Yeah, we are seeing the augments by Blitz.gg come in here on the left side of the screen. Once again, we started off with a very strong prismatic, then a little bit more calm with those silvers into gold. And Peter, what's exciting you?
I mean, I'm seeing a little bit of a spicy meatball here from the Vega side of things. Reckless spending, not something we've seen very often, but it is a huge damage boost if you're willing to go very hard down the path. But right now, the only path we can follow is the Marpin, champion of our last tournament, the Golden Spatula Cup number 3, very close to getting it knocked out very early here in game number 3.
Yeah, let's see if he can hold on and maybe turn this round around. On the other side, there's the Zeri with 3 items, and she's just doing so much, but maybe the thrill of the hunt can be of assistance here to Lumarpin. The Graves is falling over, tumbling down. That will be the end of it. Lumarpin getting knocked out
that
here.
kill would have done it. Oh,
so
no.
early.
Would have kept him alive at 1 HP. If the Braum stays alive, unfortunately, Lumarpin, our GSC 3 winner, taken down in 8th place in this game 3. Travis, we saw the Zeri there, 2-star Zeri just holding the items for Graves. One more Graves goes to the pool now that Lumarpin is dead. And that means that there's no one going to be contesting that Graves as well. So Travis, with the HP he has, and I assume the gold he has as well, should very easily find the board he's looking for with that Graves 2-star and that Nyla 2-star as well.
Well, now, of course, we have to turn our eyes towards Vega with that reckless spending and Revan as well, both on the 28 HP. We can really see the top of the lobby is getting to sit pretty here. They're not having that big pressure put on them. Yuzo, of course, is no longer on that huge win streak from before, so they're able to just coast this one out and almost guarantee themselves top 4s.
Yeah, we hopped on over to Travis, though. We're going to see what that BT board does, or BD, to say it more correctly. But BT just rolls off the tongue a little bit more. That is the fully itemized Zeri for now. We were talking about it once he picked it up. He would be looking for that Graves, but with 12 gold, there is not much you can look for.
It was just the power spike to get the Soraka in. With the win streak going now, I think you're happy to just, again, go to this PB round holding your gold and then roll down at 8, trying to find just one singular copy of Graves should be enough to, again, stay stable and get all those upgrades that you need. But we're seeing a Siphon 2 here, fully itemized BT, Giant Slayer, and the Rageblade, able to get that perfect chomp onto the Zeri and able to win this fight here for Travis. Takes a little bit of a hit, but still 58 HP, a lot to work with.
And memories of the previous set, of course, with having our
previous set. I've been decimated many times with that chomp all throughout the set. 7.5.
I mean, at least now in 7.5, it's not the guaranteed immediate murder of your carry, but given enough time, absolutely is the case. I mean, Travis, they've got a good setup here, as you mentioned. They'd be able to keep themselves afloat, and of course, it's worth mentioning. The build different does scale throughout the game to get a little bit stronger as we go. So it's still a strong board, even if it's not necessarily the dominant board they would have liked.
Okay, we are walking towards that dragon, but 2 players are fairly low in HP. We have Revan on 15 HP, which is enough to make it to the Treasure Drake, most likely, but is not going to be so easy. Did find the Olaf 3. We are seeing the board on the opposite side here, and let's see what that Olaf can do. He's going to smash through that entire front line, doing a lot of damage here, and will find his way onto the enemy Zeri. Getting CC'd a little bit here, it's proposing some issues, but in the end, Revan will find that win, which was so important to him.
And I really do like the Edge of Night in there for that of good friend Olaf. Getting that focused aggression can oftentimes be the thing that puts your Olaf out of the round early on. In this case, it will be Chaos Treasure Dragon though, so all bets are off.
Tactician's Crown could be big here. We'll see what Travis wants to go for exactly. He has 3 pretty perfect Graves items already, so not looking for anything too specific in this case. Maybe looking for Nyla items if he wants to have that secondary carry.
Yeah, and keep in mind, !AMD in chat for our dearest partner. You can win something here, so make sure you take part.
If Revan is able to find a skill score and emblem off of this dragon, he has one already, can put Lilia back in and go for 6 skill score. I'm not sure if he's trying to find it. You need a lot of gold to try and roll for that possibility. It looks like it was not the case, only has that one emblem on the Pantheon.
It's such a big risk, though. You can end up with absolutely nothing. Revan apparently seeming to think they've got enough if they just do a little bit more rerolling. Well, they do find a Yasuo, so that is going to be another strong warrior to maybe add to the mix.
Yeah, is rolling still a little bit. Finds that Diana too. Needs another one of those to really get there and get that damage spike onto the board. Another Pantheon in the shop is going to not get picked up, will roll over, but is holding on to the other copy of the Pantheon. So a little bit of decision-making happening right in front of her eyes. But Revan will meet with Raiko. Once again, the reminder, the Mirage is Executioners.
Olaf on the Deja. That's such good news
boy.
for Revan. Immediately taken out with a sidestep to the left. And that means just the tanks really, Nyla is great, of course, but not going to do so much, or rather the Rakan in this case, dashing around with the disarming. And that's going to be a great win for Revan here. Someone that needs to find Diana 3. Once he's able to do so, he can go level 8 and then maybe think about taking out Sejuani and putting in the Yasuo and the Yone for 4 Warrior.
And I think Revan has really thrown on a really good gauntlet here to the rest of the lobby. We talked about the Edge of Night making it hard to kill the Olaf. Now we've got the Death Defiance in there as well to allow them to heal up from their damage. This is an Olaf that will very rarely die. We've got a chance to pick up a 2-star
Don't do it, Revan.
Pantheon.
Do not fall for the bait. Do not try and go for Pantheon 3. That is a mistake.
Yeah, is going to go for that Diana 3. However, I want to check in with Wega. We haven't seen his board in just a little bit, and it has fallen hard. 6 Shimmer Scale and 0 gold is never a good position to be in.
Now we'll see how they do here up against the Ghost of the Siphon Comp. We can see that both big dragons are they are fully itemized, just with the Warmogs coming in for a little bit more of a defensive slant towards the Xiaoyu. As you can see, at least this time Zeri avoids getting jumped before things go too far. But Vega, they can't do a whole lot against these massive dragons, and I think perhaps Vega's time has passed.
Oh, the Graves is still holding on, but the Xiaoyu just claps harder. Wega will find a loss against Day 6 Ghost copy, but stay in this tournament for yet another round. I'm not sure how much Wega can actually do to stabilize this board here and get out, because once again, 0 gold, not a lot to work with on and Shimmer Scale trade, where you really need that economy.
And again, on the Graves too as well, so Travis may be having some trouble finding that carry, but overall, as you mentioned, this is Shimmer Scale is a trade that you want to use in the mid, part of stage 4 as well, but then it wants to lead into something else. If you're stuck on Shimmer Scale in stage 5, something has usually gone terribly wrong unless you're already level 9 and just trying to greed even more for that full dragon board. Not the case for Wega, and I think it's going to be a very clear bot 4.
The problem I'm seeing here for the Graves is we've got the Reckless Spending, but that only applies to units that have got a Shimmer Scale item or Shimmer Scale themselves. So no longer is Graves going to be getting the attack damage boost. It's all on Zeri and Deja to actually do the big damage.
Yeah, let's see what that Graves can do. We are meeting up with the Yone 3, who's just gonna annihilate the Graves right in his path. Not much you can do here. That Deja will fall. It's Deja 1, and Wega gets taken out 7th. Revan still fighting for his life, though.
Makes? Please do not jinx my poor Spanish
I
players.
didn't. He survived.
He survived, but 2 HP is not where you want to be. This is one loss, no matter how small the loss is, and it'll be over. One Diana away, though, has the golden ticket as well, has a few rolls to hit it, can maybe find on the carousel as well, but no, it will be only an Olaf, which he has already. 3-star Guardian emblem. Can be a very nice emblem for many different comps now, thanks to the Guardian buffs. But really, Revan has to find that Diana 3 and has to find that level 8 to get those warriors in.
This is at least a good carousel for the players who are towards the bottom of the table because, as you said, a lot of these aren't tremendously useful to the players currently playing, so it will help push the relative power towards the bottom players and maybe allow for Revan to climb back up.
With that Guardian emblem being left in that carousel, at least we now know that nobody's going to pull a Darkest.
Few rolls here, has to try and find Diana. Doesn't really have the gold to work with here.
Ooh.
Has to sell, has to
One
try and
more
keep getting
copy.
those refreshes.
Come on.
You're completely reliant on the procs of Golden Ticket at this point actually going off, and it just doesn't happen. That's going to be a real heartbreak. As I said, one away. I still think Revan's got a pretty good board, but they will potentially be going up against Yuso in this round. Let's see if it's anyone who can knock them out.
It's going to be all about that Olaf and what that Olaf can do. On the other side is an Azol 2, fully itemized with a Zonias. And that's just going to be a huge obstacle in the way of that scale scoring comp. I'm not sure if that Olaf has what it takes to make his way all the way over there, but he is going to try regardless, taking out one unit at a time. A Thrill of the Hunt would have been so great here. Get stunned and
Revan,
attack
please.
out of this world.
Okay, that's things I said about the Olaf being unkillable. I'm going to retract them formally now.
This is, I think, my presence being a caster curse. I'm going to remind, very sadly, the viewers that in GSC 2, I was not casting day 3.
Yeah.
Yosco popped off, was top 5 for the event on GSC 3. I was not casting day 3. Lumarping won it. All of a sudden, we get a lobby with 3 Spanish players that I'm casting, and they go 8th and 6th. At least Chuso is trying to fight
I
for
was
me.
going to say,
Yeah,
Panda,
I'd say
I
that's-
told you at the beginning, you have to choose one. You have to have a favorite child. It's going to be Chuso, who has done fantastically in this lobby. We haven't talked too much about it, but with that astral angle, just doing so well, getting that economy, and
Huge
going
Zephyr.
through here.
Yeah, we talked about that Zephyr from before. Raiko's in a lot of trouble already. This is the built different board with Nyla added to the mix, so it is the final version of the comp, more or less. We've got a hugely powerful Graves pumping damage into the front line. Deja at the back is just not going to be able to do enough. I think this is going to be the end of Raiko.
Boom. He gets knocked out 5th here. And I do want to mention, I love that Soraka in the background on that Travis comp. She was doing so much to sustain, to heal, to keep that Graves alive and allow him to do all the damage he was doing.
And Chuso has that 40 gold to work with. Already was level 9. Going to transition to a full dragon board at this point. Has the beast stem, which means that Shyvana definitely going to be going in and get that shapeshifter buff. Even if you don't have shapeshifter online, you still get the attack speed buff from the beast stem, which is massive. So that's going to be a massive power spike once he's able to hit. I think going to just stay pretty chill for now. Just let this gold rack up to the 90s or 100 and then roll down and get the full transition online because he's still very strong at this point.
And
Yeah.
he's ended up with a good item as well, coming out of our good friend, the Treasure Goblin. Going to be able to help pump up even more damage from the Aurelion Soul.
Oh, that
why
easy.
not?
That
why
Just
not
hit.
just get an Alshin too as well?
Yeah, doesn't want it though. Gets
No.
it twice in one shot, is going for the full roll down here, finds the bar 2, finds the Terra 2, but the one thing he was looking for was that Shyvana 2, and she's going to stay uncompleted for now. Quick swoopity
wow.
swoop pivot.
That's a late transition.
Gonna slam that here last second, but with that Terra 2, the units were standing pretty okay. Second Terra slot or third Terra slot not being used for now, but that Asol can hold himself, I'm pretty sure.
Brix is here though with just the hilarious items for Yone, still managing to be a ridiculous damage threat, and I just don't think, we saw this before from Darkest, Aurelion Soul can't match up, can't delete the single units they need to.
So close, but Yone is still dealing out so much damage. That being said, Chuso is still just halfway to where he wants to be with this Dragon Board. As we mentioned, Shyvana still has her chance to come online. There was a Terra spot that wasn't being used for the damage negation, so still in the middle of the transition. Once again, Chuso holding the Aoshin at least to get the rolls for the better dragons that he does want in the
There
end.
she is!
And there is the Shyvana, the Dragon's
go!
Descent. Going to be so massive to swing these fights in Chuso's favor.
Has the Ionics is going to fully itemize that Shyvana. Hopefully we will see her come crashing down onto enemy boards. But I quickly want to note Dasik has been falling off a little bit. He was running a Soifin comp, 22 HP for now. We're not going to see him in this round as 2 Zephyrs lift up the entire front line of Chuso, Peter.
I mean, if one Zephyr is good, then 2's even better. The song is crucial in keeping that Aurelion Soul online after that ridiculous display. But I think it's got... No, actually, I take everything back I was about to say. It is good enough to buy enough time for the Dragons to fight back.
Graves not able to burst down the Asol in time, but this is so massive if Travis can do this once again, because once you get that front line out of the way, Asol's fairly squishy for something like a Graves that has all those stats from the built diff as well. Dasik down to 1 HP. It does make sense. He is playing that Jade Whisperers comp. It is very good for top 4ing, but has been nerfed in the last patch. Isn't what it used to be in terms of being able to beat out these 4 dragon boards. So I think Dasik can be happy with his top 4. Maybe can even contest for the 3rd place, but so much of an HP difference there.
Yeah, he's going to meet up with Chuso, and we saw Chuso's board, so I think the chances are slim. Is going to reposition regardless and try to make the most out of it. 0 gold in the tank. Would have preferred to have at least a Jace 2 as well to add a little bit of extra beefiness. Not going to get an extra CC since that has been removed, but here he goes. He comes on in, and so does the Shyvana. Lifts up the entire enemy board, and I don't think there's anything that you can do. The Siphon will fall, the Shioyu will fall, and Dasik will fall with them.
I mean, as David was saying, the setup there, I think, was absolutely not intended to be a top 1 setup. However, someone who might be thinking more in that direction is definitely Brix, throwing a lot of bricks through the windows of the opposing players and causing quite the ruckus.
Has
That
a
was so
full
bad.
set of traits on the left there, just fully stacked out. A very horizontal setup, let's say, for his comp. The Shroud, perfect item for the late game, able to stall out those key casts from, dragons like Aesol, for example. The key ultis that are going to come in from Siobhan as well, the Dragon's Descent. And the Sunfire Cape just for some anti-heal going to be very crucial as well for Brix to pick up.
Yeah, we are on our top 3. I'm so excited. I was asking for these built different boards. I think for our entire Golden Spatula Cup number 3, didn't see a single one, but now doing so well.
And Travis here looking for that Graves 3 or that Annihilate 3 as the win condition. Top 4, top 3 has been achieved by all of these players. Now players are trying to find the way to spike into that first place. In this case for Travis, level 9, not going to do too much in case it's not really a dragon angle he's looking for with build diff. Instead, it's trying to get these upgrades, but still 4 away from either of them.
All right,
Yeah.
Double Zephyr is going to lift them up into the air. Yone will remain untouched as Yasuo takes to the skies. That Yone is still incredibly hard to deal with. Has that Zhonya's in case anyone does aggro them. I think Travis is in real trouble here. They're getting everything torn to pieces. Graves is still up for the time being, but Olaf onto the backline. Yone just chunking out tons of damage. The knockup is good. Graves into the middle, but Travis will have to take a pretty heavy L, and I suspect settle for third.
Yeah, he even waited until the very last second to slam that Shroud of Stillness. Is still rolling here, trying to find those upgrades, like you said, Panda, but not a lot of gold. He won't be able to find them for now. Yes, I mean, he can buy her. It's not going to get completed. Doesn't
It's
have
happening,
the gold.
Mix. Everyone stay calm. It's happening.
Two more copies to finish that Nyla with only 12 HP. That's a dangerous prospect that you're on. Hopefully, you can make it all the way to the Treasure Herald that we're going to. But for now, you need to pass Chuso's comp.
That's a good Shroud, though, across the back line, which should buy a little bit of time. We'll see. Certainly, Travis has done pretty well up until this point, but this is going to be a very hard piece to get by.
The black hole pops, and the units pop as well. Pretty much everything is now dead. Only Soraka and Varus left alive. Not the 2 units that are going to beat out this full dragon board. And Travis, I think it's just too big of a hit. One of the downsides of facing dragons in stage 6 means that any dragons stay alive, you're taking a massive hit, and you're probably being eliminated.
Interestingly enough, that was also Chuso's copy, because Chuso lost the round against Brix as well. So we already have a little bit of a trajectory. Brix is on a 6-win streak with that Yone comp. We saw it in round number 2 do so well from Lelouch. Now this time, not even Swift Shot, not even Scope Weapons, but just popping off.
No, and exactly, to further your point here, I mean, admittedly, the High Roller gets this comp online faster, but ultimately, exactly as you say, there aren't the specific augments in here enabling this composition. It's just the 2 rapid fire cannons, just a ton of bows.
I mean, the Portable Forge item does help as well, and the fact that you have a triple carry with the Olaf, who is the Aura item carrier with the Zeeks, but that also gives you some attack speed, as well as...
attack speed! Some attack speed!
Someone asked Brix, how many Zeeks do you want? He said, yes. Give me 5 Zeeks and 2 RFCs. My Yone, I'm not sure, I think this might crash the game. I'm not joking. Production, be ready, because I don't think Yone is meant to attack as fast as this.
Well, we're lucky there's only 1 board left over, otherwise I'm pretty sure this Yone would start hitting other boards by
Technical
the time
pause.
we're done.
On the other side, however, Chuso was still switching things around, trying to make sure he gets the most out of his dragons, is going to slam that gauntlet in the very, very last second to try and make the most of it. All eyes on the Yone in the middle of the field. Is getting a little bit of CC in his face for now, but it's not going to do him any harm. He's just going to slice through that Shyvana, slice through the Xiaoyu, and find a win against Chuso. That means 3rd time in a row, Brix gets a win.
And it pains me to say this, David, but it's actually in that last bit there where we had the Aoshin almost deleting the Yasuo, but because of the Zhonyas, it didn't happen. There was just too many questions to be answered.